Welcome to Beer Untapped with Perry Miller, the podcast. I'm joined by Seth.
Hey, welcome, guys. Thanks for finding us on the internet.
Now, these shows originally aired on Brookings Radio, but now they're all here for your enjoyment. I hope you like it.
There you go. Sit back, enjoy the show, relax. Let us know if you want to see anything on future shows. As we said, this comes out live in the Brookings area, but enjoy this archive episode.
Beer Untapped with Perry Miller. Welcome to Beer Untapped with Perry Miller. This week, those easy drinking beers you can enjoy without getting hammered. Session beers.
Session isn't even a style. It's more of a concept. It's more of an initiative than a true single style. Session beers are beers that are intentionally brewed to still be flavorful and really good and well constructed, but with the intent is that you can have a session of drinking them with your mates, and it doesn't turn you inside out. And you can do so responsibly.
Seth Koch there from Wooden Legs Brewing in Brookings. Drew Eklund over at Brookings Liquor Store defines a session beer this way.
To me, a session beer is a well-balanced, highly drinkable, and has less than a 5% ABV, thus letting the drinker have multiple beers during a session without getting drunk. This definition covers a wide variety of styles that naturally fit into what a sessionable beer would be.
This style of lower alcohol, though flavorful beers, seems to be gaining in popularity among craft beer brewers, especially with the warmer weather arriving.
But that's not to say strong beers are bad beers. We've got beers in the 7, 8, 9. We had St. Isidore we should make again sometime. We had St. Isidore, it was in like the 12% range. There's a time and a place for those. But oftentimes during the summer, it's fun to sit around and, lawnmower beers and have fun and barbecue and be able to drink beers in a social atmosphere, session them out with friends, and be able to do it for the evening instead of just for 20 minutes.
According to Beer Advocate, the term session beer comes from World War I England and the 2 allowable drinking periods imposed on ammunitions workers. They'd find beers they could drink during those 2 4-hour sessions and still be able to return to the job afterwards. So we can thank the Brits for the concept of session beers.
Most beers in Britain, most bitters are hardly over 4% ABV. I mean, that's strong ales in Britain are at 6%. Or 7%, which is crazy because we're getting brown ales and American just pale ales and even just American lagers that are ticking in on the 7% range. And those, by historic standards, those are strong beers. By U.S. craft beer standards, they're about medium.
Craft brewers are turning out these session beers in seemingly record numbers this spring.
You're going to see it popular all over. They're making session IPAs now. Of course, we have our session stout. There's session reds, and I think the other session beer that people don't even know that are session beers that are incredibly popular are cask conditioned beers. Cask conditioned beers are some of my favorite. You serve them in big imperial nonics. You use the beer engine or the hand pump to pull them out of the cask. They're usually pretty low in alcohol, as tradition, and they're awesome.
Those cask ales are most popular in that land of the session beer, England, but you also find them in many American pubs and bars. More on session beers when Beer Untapped with Perry Miller continues.
Pull me a pint, John. I'm not going home. In fact, I might stay here for years.
Welcome back to Beer Untapped as we discuss session beers. Seth Koch is fond of session beers, and they've brewed a number of them at Wooden Legs, including one of their flagship beers, the 353 Stout.
Our stout was designed with the session in mind. So we went over to Ireland when we were discussing this project, and we sat down on St. Paddy's Day in Dublin. That story is too good to make up. That is a true story. We talked with the bartenders there and talked with the owners, and we said, what makes a good beer? What makes an Irish beer? And they said, first and foremost, if you're going to make a stout, you can't see through it, so it needs to be dark as the night. They said, secondly, you need to be able to have a beer that as it warms, it will mature, because we sit here and we kid and we joke and we talk business. And they say, as by the time we're all done, usually the pint gets warm, so it still needs to be pretty good, even when warm. And they said, as importantly, if we're talking business, we do that over beers. So it needs to be something that we can have a couple beers and still be effective communicators. So this version of stout, I think, is one of our best. It's at 3.3%. I mean, it was designed that way.
Just because a beer is lower in alcohol content doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be easier to brew, especially if you want it to be full of flavor.
Session beers can be complicated to make, just because with a lack of ingredients, you have to be very deliberate on how you're going to tease the flavors out. Obviously, if you have a big imperial stout like Pogonophilia, we have so much malt and yeast and stuff in there that it can get really complicated and just be a big, crazy, full-bodied mouthfeel. But session IPAs, as an example, Brau Brothers makes a good session IPA. Session IPAs, you have to be a little bit more deliberate, and you don't have as much background component, so you really have to be careful and construct a beer in a meaningful way.
There's a great way to discover session beers. Try a few good ones. Drew picks a few available at Brookings Liquor Store, including one from a brewer that just recently entered the South Dakota market.
Lagunitas Daytime. It's $8.99 for the 6-pack. I love IPAs, but sometimes the higher alcohol content is a bit overwhelming. Daytime is a fully flavored IPA with a low ABV of 4.65%. It's moderately carbonated with flavors of lemon and grapefruit.
A couple of mighty fine session beers come from area brewers and are worth seeking out.
The last one I have here is from Brau Brothers. It's their Hop Session Super Pale Ale, $9.99 for the 6-pack. This one has more malt character to kind of balance out the hops. It's light, it's crisp, flavors of tropical fruit with a bit of a lemony tartness. It's a truly super pale ale.
And brewed just 50 miles away.
Yeah,
Marshall.
yeah. Also, Banks Hop Bandit. I forgot about that one. That one is excellent. $5.99 for the 22-ounce bottle. It tastes so fresh. It's just awesome. I would highly recommend that one.
That's it for this week's edition of Beer Untapped with Perry Miller. Until next time, drink local and drink responsibly. Thank you for listening to this archived edition of Beer Untapped with Perry Miller. Feel free to listen to other episodes, and if there's anything you'd like us to talk about on a future show, please let us know. Thanks again.